When I began to listen to poetry, it's when I began to listen to the stones, and I began to listen to what the clouds had to say, and I began to listen to others. I think most importantly for all of us, then you begin to learn to listen to the soul of yourself in here, which is also the soul of everyone else. So, you're a writer, bro. What what was your initial interest in poetry? Like what got you into it?
I think it started when I was like a kid and shit. So like when I was younger, we had this one class in elementary, and they had us write a book. And my book was, I think, Oswaldo the Penguin. My first ever book written as
Yeah.
a child. I still got the book. It's probably one of my holy grails, honestly, because it got me into the space of writing and really opened up like getting into like just writing down like life experiences and stuff. Um, so when I was doing that, my mom kind of she brought me onto it because I guess she wrote a poem that was nationally recognized. She even got like
Wow.
she had Hillary Clinton come up to her and tell her like this is a great poem.
That's incredible.
So when she told me that story, I was like, damn, like if she could do it, I could do it. So I started writing poems as a young child. Many of them lost, but I mean, poetry is like a part of my life at this point. Like it's something that I hold dear to me because I just love doing it. It's
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing, man, because I mean, there's nothing better than putting words to your thoughts and putting words to really anything that you're going through.
mm-hmm.
So that's a beautiful story, and the fact that your mom was like a very big influence on that, and that she was writing poetry. That's awesome, man. Um, yeah, for me, I do like journaling and stuff. I like writing down like different thoughts and gathering everything together because sometimes it's you can't always just let things linger in your mind. You might get creative thoughts at any moment, and
Mm-hmm.
it's good to have that that openness to writing down your thoughts, whether that's in the form of poetry, storytelling, music, whatever the case may be. So that's beautiful. Um, when I really got into it was probably when we were in that college prep class in freshman year with Mrs. Steinbach.
Oh yeah.
I remember like towards the end of the year, the final was like to write your own story and stuff. So uh, there was one day we did do that, and so I wrote that whole little story down, and obviously I'm making it about fiction and stuff. Uh, and she told me she pulled me aside, or like when I was walking out of class or something, and she's like, I want to use one of these that you wrote down because like it's like a beautiful story, and like in my mind, like I say it's fiction, but it was honestly about me, bro. Like just
Mm-hmm.
about like different stuff that was going on in my life and the way I grew up and stuff. So just the power of words on a sheet of paper, like you could really change somebody's life or give a good story, whether it's fiction or you're telling it about you straight up. So that's a
That's
beautiful thing.
100%. Because I got a story about that too. Because in middle school, what was that seventh, eighth grade? Yeah, eighth grade. I forget her name, but I got moved into this different class because we just had a bunch of kids, and she had us write a story, like do something similar, like write something about I think it was about perseverance, and at the time it was still fresh in my head, like everything I had been through with football when I was in Pennsylvania, about having to cut weight. I had to run around the the practice field with bags taped to me just to cut weight, like every night on the treadmill after even practice. So I was double working, fucking barely eating, McDonald's meals, McDonald's salads for dinner,
Yeah.
anything to get me under the weight. Like there's be days I don't even eat just
Uh,
to get through it. And I wrote about that in 8th grade, and uh, my teacher pulled me like put it into like the newspaper because she was so profound with it. Even though she didn't like me, like she did not like me at all. She was like
she couldn't even deny
she
it.
couldn't deny the greatness of that story because she was like this is like moving. Like this moves people. Because we had a class vote on it, and I guess my story won. I wasn't even there for that day, and she's like, "Your story won. Can we put this in the school newspaper?" And I was like, "Go for it. I mean, I'm not afraid to tell people who I am and what I do, and how I persevere through life. Because ultimately, like, if someone can pick up off of it, that's just another like, added thing for me. I love lifting people up like that. So
Yeah, so that's beautiful, man. So do you personally feel like writing, whether any form, is like kind of like a gateway to yourself, to explaining yourself?
100%. Because no matter what you write down, you're having to think about it in your own head. Like a song, poem, novel, anything that you write down is coming straight from your head. So it's coming from you.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking it and you're writing it down, it's coming from you. It's not some generated source where you're thinking of anything. So like say you're feeling down, you write something about it. You could come back to that in like 3 months and see how you've grown and stuff like that. So it's just I find it a beautiful thing.
Yeah, man, that's amazing. And like the fact that you're super big on it is like, because not too many people like get into it so serious, and like even kind of like me with the journaling and stuff and things like that. It's like, um, it's really like pure form of expression. Like, when you're writing your own stories and or you're making your own music, like it's just like you're saying, it's coming from your head. Like you can't. I mean, obviously, there's people that'll go and, kind of mimic other authors and
Mm-hmm.
other other music, other stuff like that. But like, I feel like with writing, it's like it's just like you're saying, it's from the mind. It's like the purest form of creativity. I mean, you know, back in the early days, like that was how they got their word out and stuff. So just storytelling is huge, man. And I mean, that's part of the reason the whole podcast started too. Is like I want to tell my story, and like I'm a big talker, so like that's my kind of thing. Is like I want to learn from other people, and I want to see um, their hobbies or their niches or stories about their life that like explain their purpose or explain um, what's like really meaningful to them. Because I mean, at the end of the day, dog, we're just all here trying to be creative as well as just inspire people if
Mm-hmm.
if that's your thing. So
I mean, in the first place, I think we should all look to inspire each other, though.
yes.
So whether it be through writing, doing podcasts like you're doing right now, like it takes one word, one sentence to spark somebody in my head.
I believe that 100%. Um, yeah, so the way we started this is obviously did a little research that the first quote that I came up with was from an author. Um, Her name is Joy Haro. Um, I'm not personally familiar with her work, but I saw this one and it grabbed my attention because it's like you're saying. Um, I mean it. We begin to listen to the soul, and that's most important because like it's in all of us, and um, expressing ourselves in our different ways of being creative is like I feel like the most important thing because yeah, we're just trying to inspire other people, whether they're in a dark place or if they're in a happy place and they find joy in your work. So that's like You know, that's a big thing. Um, so for you personally, you write poems, you write stories, you write music. Is there a poem or a story or a song that you made that like definitely stands out to you specifically and was probably like one of your most favorite ones to do?
Yeah, let me pull it up for you real quick. Yeah, so like one that I wrote a couple years ago. It goes gold-plated armor and a rusted sword. Years spent building defense when I needed a sword. Now I head into war with my gold-plated armor and this broken sword. So what I meant by that is I spent so many years just attacking either myself or just something else when I should have had both the defense and the attack. And now that I'm older, I've realized that I can't always be attacking myself, attacking others, just being malignant in life. I have to keep my sword sharp and not swing at anything and everything because that's how it gets broken. And I relate that to like life because how you get through life is you cut through everything and you just got to make it a way through. So if you're going in with a broken sword, then you can't cut through life. You can't even break down any wall.
Yeah. So do you feel like with your writing and stuff, it kind of helped you understand yourself on a deeper level where, um, you know, you're like whether you're fighting like like you said, whether you're fighting stuff like within yourself or fighting, you know, certain instances in the world. Do you feel like writing was like your way of having more self awareness?
100%. Because without writing, I'd be so stuck up in my head. I would be just mind blocked. Like I couldn't think, couldn't do. I wouldn't be able to like do certain stuff because I'd be so up in my head. But once I started actually putting it down, getting it out of my head, that's when I found myself really and stopped like being so up in my head because I already had written it down. Had a I had a goal set from what I wrote down. Like I said earlier, like whether it be depressing stuff or even love stuff, like I had something written down at that moment where I got it out of my head. So now it's time to move forward, and I can look back at that and see how I've grown and see what I still need to do to even be a better person.
Yeah, and I agree with that 100%. Because yeah, I definitely overthink a lot myself, and especially when I was a kid, man. Like, you know, there was a lot of different struggles that I went through. We all go through. It's a tough battle because you know your mind is gonna think of a million thoughts, and so the fact that you're putting down specific ones on paper and you're fighting these um, adversaries, whether it's in life or in yourself, in your own thoughts. That's amazing, man. And dude, like I brought the journal. I talked about it in the podcast with Ty, and this one was when I was really going through a dark time, bro. And so obviously there's a lot of random things in here for the most part, and but there's definitely some things that really I was really deep into thought. For instance, um, like in my childhood, one thing that I really battled was like trying to figure out who I was as a person and stuff. So one thing that I wrote down is like, if you know who you are as a person, why does everyone else's opinion matter so much? And is it possible to control one's mind? And I really like this one because exactly what you're saying. When I was a kid, man, I was battling, just again trying to battle of figuring out who I am. And you know, I was really shy. I was really antisocial. So opinion was like a big thing that really like kind of held me back because I was always worrying about what people thought about me or what my family thought about me, um, and who even I thought about myself. Because it's like you're saying, it's like you're battling all these different thoughts in your mind, and it can really get to dark places if you really let it. So
Yep.
I uh, I really, when I got into the journaling, I really was like focusing on myself, and through the words of expression, I was able to wonder why I'm so worried about other people's opinions when the only opinion matters is who I think I am and who I know I am as a person.
Exactly. And like you're saying, I have I write down some of my headspace, like where I'm at. Um, let's see. Like for one, I'm telling myself, what am I scared for? I can see that I'm avoiding something, but what am I avoiding? Like writing stuff like that down helps. I think help anybody get into figuring out what they're saying, because you're writing to yourself basically, and when you write to yourself, that's when you can really like think about something other than somebody else. You're thinking about yourself, so you get into like a deep thought and like, what are you scared for? And then you can deep dive. What are you like? For instance, for me at that time in my life, it was I was scared of love
Okay.
because at that time I just didn't know how to properly love myself, love others, and I couldn't express it in a good way. Like I was so into myself, like I couldn't outwardly say like, "Hey, I love you, bro." I couldn't do that. But when I wrote that down, I was like, "Why am I scared of that?" Like, what got me into that kind of thinking? So you do your little headspace and a little meditation here and there, something to get you into that thought mode, and ultimately now I'm not scared of that kind of stuff or anything. Like I'm more outward. I'm starting to come out of my shell. That's why I started my writing page and stuff, because I said, like, what am I scared for? Like nobody could tell me that I'm a bad writer because everyone starts from the ground up.
Exactly. I really like that you touched on the part about that you couldn't tell other people that you love them because you were battling this struggle, and it's just like they say, man, you can't love somebody else until you love yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that you're attacking that specifically, um, I'm sure helped you in many ways, like so many ways, because it's hard, man, when you have a lot of self doubt in yourself, or self destructive tendencies because of where your mind takes you. Really finding a way to express yourself is beautiful. So the fact that you use your words on a piece of paper or on your phone, like, dog, that's beautiful. That is very beautiful. Um, which takes me into this one. I have a quote that I also grabbed. This one is by Patrick Rothfuss. It says, "It's like everyone tells a story about themselves inside their own head, always, all the time. That story makes you what you are. We build ourselves out of this story." How do you feel about that?
I feel like you got to understand it in a way that, like, yeah, life is a story. So no matter what you're doing, even if you're not thinking about it in a writing prospect, like every move you make is part of your story. So I mean, what we're doing right now, part of our story. So it's
Yes.
just that quote is so it resonates, because it's like, how do you like think about life? I think about life as a story. So that's why I take the time out of my day sometimes just to jot stuff down and really take it back. So like when I'm 2 years from now, like some of my stuff that I wrote down is 2 years old. I like to look at that stuff and go, how have I grown? How do I view this now? And sometimes I don't align with it anymore because that's just how much life's changed, how my story's changed, and how I've grown with it. So that that quote is a top tier one.
Yeah, that's that's definitely one that um, really resonates with me myself too. You know, when I journal, I'm definitely in dark places. It's 9 times out of 10 not really anything motivating or
Mm-hmm.
anything that is going to put you in the state of mind where you're like, wow, like, you know, this guy's really content or happy with life. And I feel like that's one thing that writers really battle with because, you know, you're when you're writing these stories, like you really have to be in a mood. And
Yep.
I feel like every writer, at least in my perspective, like they always start out in a dark place. And that's kind of why um, I started with mental health and I started with, you know, the fatherhood podcast because those are two big things that I've really battled as a child. And,
Mm-hmm.
you know, having an absent father, having a father that's not around, it's really tough. And just the mental health stuff that I still go through to this day, whether I'm happy one day or not, like they're always there. Sometimes it keeps me in a state of mind at night where I'm just like I can't even sleep because I'm just up thinking about it.
Yep.
And in this, when I was going through my journal again, um, I found one, and I like to put the timestamps of everything because I want to keep track of what day, what year,
Yep. That's
um,
always good.
things like that. And this is what I wrote. It's amazing how fragile life is that one can mold or break so quickly. And for me, you know, especially when you're writing and stuff, um, you're thinking of the things at the time, like we're mentioning,
Yep.
and you know that can either mold you into your golden armor, or it can break you down to the point where you know you're thinking about things that you should never think about in life because it takes you to these dark places, and sometimes you know it just feels like there's no other outlet but like being stuck in this dark place. So, how do you feel about this?
Well, that's why I got into writing. Is because, like you said, most writers you know or hear about, they start in a dark place. I did too. So I used to write pretty depressing stuff, but the more you write about it, is the more it becomes your reality, right?
I
The more you
agree.
think about it, the more it becomes your reality. The more you think of it all comes down into how you perceive yourself and how you perceive the world will become your reality. So that's when I stopped writing just my depressing thoughts. When I started writing anything and everything that came to my head, that's when it kind of changed for me. So I'd write about, you know, love stories or, you know, anything, like even my songs. Some of my songs come from inspiration from the songs I've heard and just heard outside, heard outside. So like it became part of me to stop thinking so negatively. And if once you write down a couple positive things and you start really looking into it, that's when you start realizing that, hey, it's just a bad day. You know, one day you can write that down, but most of the time your good days are going to outweigh that. So why not write that too? Why not think about that or put it into your mind that it's just one day, you know? So that's why I started writing down everything and anything, is because I got into a really dark place where I was writing some dark things that I should have never started writing about. And I look back at that now and I see that, could I have helped myself better? Yeah. Could I have loved myself better? Yeah. So now that I'm writing anything, like even the good days. I write down even small dots, like 2 sentences. Day was good. Can't wait for the next day. Can't wait for my next meeting with this person. Like little stuff like that can keep you going and keep you out of those dark thoughts. And I think that's part of the reason why I started writing, is because I could not stay in a dark place like that. I had too many ambitions, too many goals,
Yes.
and I'm trying to inspire way too many people to be stuck in a dark place like that.
Yeah, man, and it's just like you're saying, man, because there's the beauty in life and there's also the rough, but you can't forget the rough when you're, or you can't forget the beauty when you're in the rough, you know,
Yep.
because you can be um, in the mud, you could be, you know, in the deepest depths of your mind,
Mm-hmm.
but at the end of the day, there is a purpose for you to inspire other people, and I'm glad that you use this through writing because one thing that I've always really appreciated about you is that you've always been uplifting towards me when we've met in high school and when we were friends, and that's something that has always stuck with me, and I've always considered you like one of my closest friends, one of my brothers, because you know, like at the time, like there was things that I was battling and maybe things that you said and told me, like it just kind of helped me remember that, like, hey man, there's a bright side to everything,
Yep.
and life is beautiful, and we can always appreciate the things that um, happen, good or bad, and definitely with you, bro, like you've always been one that's really uplifting, and I like what you said because I got a little something that resonates with it. It says the eyes can be as open or as blind as you want. So much can be overlooked and missed. So much as you want. But it can also be as sharp and as cunning as you want it to be. So the fact that you are looking on the brighter side and thinking about life on both sides, because you can't always be deep, man.
Nope.
You can't always be deep. Do you have a a poem or a story where it like really changed your life in an impactful way in the bright side of things?
On the bright side of things, I do. Yeah. And this is an unfinished one, but
Yeah.
I still like it because it's short, simple, sweet to the point. It goes, weight of despair fills the air. Why must we continue this affair? Twisting and turning, this road doesn't end. Why do we blindly continue to the end?
That's beautiful, man.
And like, we're always continuing. We're gonna continue on every day of this life. So, with that, like, there's no end to the road. So, if despair is 1 block, 2 blocks of that road, let it be, because there's 3 or 4 blocks down there that could be life changing, gold.
Yeah. And with what you're getting right there, like it's beautiful because like I'm able to bounce certain things that I even wrote myself. So one one point in my life where I'm like getting really deep into my thoughts and I'm thinking about what is next in terms of life. And I got into a point where it was like I was like not suicidal, but I was thinking so deeply of death and like, you know, what is all this for if I'm just gonna die?
Yep.
Um, and you have to restructure your brain because at the end of the day, we're a soul within a body.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wrote something like that. I said, uh, think about it like this. Say somewhat of a terrible person goes to purgatory. Do they come back a snake? Snakes by nature are considered the devil's serpent, and thus it is the punishment for a terrible life they lived as a human. Then what if they die again and become reincarnated as something such as a tree, or even returning back into life to fulfill a life that was not lived in the past life? Because you know they say no energy can be created or destroyed, and my soul is an energy field of mass out there in the world, in the universe that can come back. So if I live life with a good purpose, or if I live life as a terrible purpose, do I get a second chance? Do
Mm-hmm.
I get to feel the other side? And that really brought me back because, I was in a dark place and I was really upset with myself and I really didn't know what to do. And when I wrote this, it was like, there's something else and there's always another way out. And I can solve this right now instead of getting to the point where it's like, man, I lived a terrible life and I'm going to be punished for a while. What do you think about in these dark moments that like get you out of that?
Well, there's a couple of things. One, I go back to a quote by one of my favorite artists, Tupac. Through every dark night, there's a brighter day.
Amen.
So whenever I'm going through my dark nights, like I know at the end of the day, like tomorrow, it's a restart. Like there's no purpose in being stuck in a way because, like you said, like do you get another chance? And if you don't get another chance, why not spend the time you have here experiencing as much as you can?
Yeah.
There's no purpose in staying stuck forever in one way. It's just not it's not in our cards. I don't see you or me being stuck in a place where we can't get out of because since I've known you, you've been a bright mind and someone who keeps on pushing. So
Thank you. I appreciate that.
like if we get stuck into one way, like I don't I don't see us like not getting out of it, but like how do we persevere through that? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I really like that. Um, so one thing that I kind of pull out from all of that too is like, um, there's a song that I really kind of glazed over when it first came out by Kanye West on his album, and in his song, it sounds really deep, and you can tell it's in a dark place, and he's just like, someday, someday, someday. And he's like, I want to lay down like God did on Sunday, like I
Mm-hmm.
want to be at that pinnacle of like, I fulfilled everything I said I was going to do or I thought I was going to do. And he's like, even when you're in that dark place, one day we're going to get this solved. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's a beautiful thing. Um, Poetry is what in a poem makes you cry, laugh, prickle, be silent, make your toes twinkle, makes you want to do this or do that or nothing at all. What makes you know that you are all alone in the unknown world, that your bliss and suffering is forever shared and forever all your own. So, when I read this one, it makes you think of all the bright things. And, like you're saying, we can't be caught in those deep thoughts. And, we can't always live in the happy moments either because it's not always a brighter day every time.
Nope.
So, it's really hard. When you're writing, what is one thing that when you first started that you wish you knew the things that you know now?
How to use my words better.
Okay.
Because in my old writings, I can see that I would just write anything, like it come from the head, like which it should be. It should be pure, but sometimes when you put stuff down to paper, it has to make sense. So, for instance, on like any of the songs that I've written throughout my life, like my early songs that I was writing just for fun, like they don't come off the top like they should be songs. The songs that I've written recently, those ones, like you can tell where it's supposed to have the hook, it's supposed to have the chorus, and all that good stuff. And that's just an example. Like in my poems and my novels, those will come just straight from the head. I would just write anything and everything I could that I was thinking at that point,
Yeah.
and it'd just be a throwing my words at the wall basically and hoping they'd stick. So now that I've been become a better writer mentally and both physically, I guess you could say. Like they're more coherent. They're more, you can tell where that story's about to take you and where it's coming from and what kind of message I'm trying to get to you with my stories and stuff. So that's something that I've wished the younger me knew, but I mean that's just how we grow. You
Yeah.
don't come. Not all people come out from with the golden spoon, you know.
Yeah. The purpose of storytelling is not to tell how you how to think, but give you a question to think upon. This is by Brandon Sanderson. And exactly what you're saying, man. It's it's got to have the meaning behind it. Like one thing when I was writing too, it's like I'm just writing. I'm not thinking about what other people are gonna get from it. So just like you're saying with the chorus or with the hooks, adding that in because now you're understanding the structure, or whether it's with songs or with poetry, it's uh it's beautiful. But yeah, because anybody can run out there and tell a story, but it's not always gonna latch with people. I
No,
feel like,
no, it's not.
and you gotta have a message that you're trying to get across because you're gonna read it and you're gonna be like, oh, what else is on my timeline, or what else is there that's gonna teach me something.
Yep.
And that's why like one artist or one author that I really like was Edgar Allan Poe. I know he was really deep into like the darker side of things, but in his work, if you like, you really like dissect it, it brings the meaning of why he was talking about it.
Yep.
I forget what it's called, but it's about that black crow or the croaking when the old man is sleeping in his house and he keeps hearing that tick that's just in his head.
Mm-hmm.
And that one really resonates with me because it's like, he digs up the body under the floorboards at the end, and it's like it wasn't just a thought anymore. It was something that was like eating at me, and I had to really just dig it out and get it out of that dark place and be like, man, this is what it's about. And that's that's what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to find the purpose within myself through other people's stories of me wanting to inspire other people as well as just get my story across.
Yep.
And you never know where it's going to take you.
No.
You can have a story about the most simplest things and somebody's going to get complex about it. Do you have any stories like that you would like to share?
I don't have them saved, unfortunately, on
No
my
worries.
phone. But there are a couple of novels I'm working on. One's about the time I almost died. I got into a crash. And then the other one is just kind of like a story of a time I had outside where it wasn't the greatest of times. Bad stuff happened, but I'm still here. I'm still kicking. So I kind of want to take that story and make it so that it can inspire somebody who's going through one dark day, one dark time, that tomorrow is here and in the future you're still going to be kicking, you're still going to be doing stuff. So there's no purpose in thinking about that, and how can you build off of your dark day? Like when, even because when you're in your dark days, there's a reason for it sometimes, you know. It's meant to make you open your eyes. It's meant to make you build yourself because you're obviously either lacking something or there's a lesson to be learned. And so those stories, there's a lesson to be learned within them because it tells you about how, for the one like I almost died, it tells you pretty much like why I got into that situation and like how I could have kind of prevented it, but like it's more of a reflection, I guess, on why I almost died and what I'm doing now to like not be in that situation again.
Yeah, and so when you're talking about this story, do you want to share this story if you're comfortable?
Yeah, so I was at not a dark time in my place, but I just wasn't digging life anymore. So I started just doing dumb shit as any young person will. You know, I started just partying all the time, not really giving a fuck. Did some things that I told myself when I was younger I'd never do.
Okay.
And I got into a situation where I don't even remember the night. I just woke up somewhere random and I was like, oh shit, like, what am I doing with my life? Like, I knew how I got there, obviously, because I made that choice. But I woke up and I was like, dude, what are you doing? I had done some unsavory things, you could say, and I woke up in the wrong part of town, and I was like, what are you doing? Like, this is not your purpose in life to start spiraling. And that's when I really started like, I stopped doing a lot of stuff. I stopped going out so much. I stopped smoking weed. Like, I stopped doing a whole bunch of stuff because of that one day.
Yeah, that's deep, man. And I'm glad that you made it out on the other side. You know, I mean, it's that's really deep, and I appreciate you for sharing that with me. I I'm glad to know that you came out all right, and I'm glad that out of that you grabbed something from it, and you're like, man, this just is not for me. Because I mean, I've dealt with that too, dude. I mean, I've been in a couple of car crashes. One was pretty fatal. I could have hurt that person. I was having sleeping disorders. Like there was times where I'm at work and I'm standing like straight up in a meeting, and I'm like nodding off, and I really didn't take my health seriously. I was doing things that I shouldn't have been, wasting money that I shouldn't have been, and in those moments, you either fall deeper or you finally wake up and everything just snaps and you're like, man, I really need to focus on myself and focus on what I'm here for, because obviously in your situation, mine wasn't too fatal to that point, but it's like, you're here for a reason,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, and it's like I said in the other one, if you woke up today, the journey's not over.
Exactly.
So the fact that I could have lost a dear friend, and that really is not something that I would wish on anyone, especially you, bro, because I love you to death, man, and I'm glad that you woke up that day, and I'm glad that you found your purpose, man. Um, and we just got to work at it every day. It's a learning process, and it's not always going to be bright.
No.
And sometimes you really need that wake up call. So, wow, thank you for sharing that with me. Thank you. When you're writing, do you have some kind of process that you go through, um, or where exactly do you look for your inspiration? Like, do you just focus on you? Like, what's the process of you when you're writing?
I guess it would depend. My poetry, I think that just comes straight from the heart, straight from my mind. Like, because ultimately, I view myself as someone that's a creative mind, a creative soul. So even if it's not about myself, like I'll write about random things, and I view it as like something to get just words onto paper, how I'm feeling, how I see other people's doing, just anything. But like in my novels and stuff, obviously I want to keep it structured. I want to like build off of previous like inspirations I've had. Like when I was younger, I got really into the Dauntless books, and that's kind of where my poetry page comes from, because those books kind of brought me into understanding of like there's nothing that should scare you. Like you have to just go through it, and that's what I think I got the most from Dauntless was you can have all these different affinities, and the world might not like it, but ultimately it's your life. So whatever you do with it and how you make it is going to make the person you are.
Yeah.
So I like to take my structure from kind of those kind of books and write meaningful things that are going to uplift somebody or show some like make someone like get a lesson from it, I guess, and reflect on themselves or reflect on the world or whatever they're thinking about that day, honestly.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. That is just beautiful. I love it. That's incredible. Poetry is the sister art of music. This is by Robert Pinsky. So you also do music on top of your poetry and your storytelling. What do you feel like you're trying to achieve out of the music?
I think I do music for fun.
Okay.
Uh, there's not really a goal with the music stuff that I do because I don't view it as my main source of creativity,
Okay.
but it's also a source for me to get words to paper and stuff like that because I mean, it's fun. I view it as something fun. So like it's a nice thing to do sometimes when I have the creative space to go, you know what? Today I'm going to write a song because I mean, I'm inspired by boatloads of artists that write music, and that's why I take a lot of my inspiration from too. Even in my regular writings, like it could just be regular poetry or novels. I'll take it from an artist because ultimately that's a story too. It's just in the form of a song,
Yeah.
and like I said, it's mainly for fun, but like I love doing it.
Yeah. So do you feel like with obviously you feel like with the music it's the creative outlet to not only boost your writing but keep you in a creative space where you can write other things and then you might look back at and be like, "Hey, I can use that in something."
Exactly.
That's beautiful. That is incredible. One thing that like I really got into was being more self-aware of like frequencies and vibrations.
Mm-hmm.
So one night when I was writing in this journal, when I was experimenting with mushrooms, I found something deep in the rabbit hole that I was not expecting. Um, it brought me to the human torus. The definition is a donut-shaped torus, continuous vortex that loops out from a central core, circles the outside, and returns through the middle. And this is within your body. And there's many ways to express yourself through any kind of aspect of life, sports, niches. Um, and in this one, I'm trying to relate it to writing because, we're one energy field. There's an energy field around me. There's an energy field around you. Every single person in this universe. And being aware of your surroundings, I feel like really implements that
Mm-hmm.
because you can be in the wrong room, you could be in the right room, and all of that is going to be dictated about the types of energy that you're around,
Yep.
and it's going to make you react certain ways. Do you feel like there's people around you that maybe you love or you care about that always bring you back to like a negative aspect?
Um, Not anymore. I think
Okay.
there used to be a couple people around me who would get me into a space where my frequencies, like you're saying, completely off. Put me in spaces where I shouldn't be, where I felt uncomfortable. So I did a, I think I did when kind of COVID came around. I did some real self reflection and I kind of started getting those people out of my life because it's just it wasn't for me. And now that I've done the work, I don't have. Yeah, it might be for a day
Hmm.
that they bring me into a negative space, but I try to keep those people away from me now because it ultimately you are who you hang around with, stuff like that. That's what I've always heard from my parents and stuff. You are who you hang around with. So, for instance, when I told you like when I almost died, I was around someone who I've been friends with that guy since high school. Like he kind of was like one of my closest homies at that time, and he introduced me into a bunch of shit that I should not have been getting into, and I pretty much cut him off after that day, and he's kind of like the last one that I kind of cut off from my life, people being negative around me, because ultimately, like I could have died,
Yeah.
being just hanging around that guy, I could have died.
Yeah, and it's it's really hard, because especially too when you care about them, luckily with a friend, like it's a little different. The
Yep.
connection is something that you build and instead of just having to live with. So the fact that you pulled yourself out of that and it made changes for you, that's incredible. Do you feel like now you're comfortably in a spot where you don't feel like you're surrounded by bad energy, or you're able to one pull yourself out of that?
I think so. I've like I said, I've done a lot of reflecting over the past couple of years and before that too, but like the last couple of years I've really dug into myself and I try to bring the positivity myself. Like there's no reason to be a Debbie Downer in this life. So anywhere I go, I try to bring the smiles, bring the laughters. It doesn't matter for me. As long as I'm trying to uplift somebody, I think I'm in a positive space and the people I hang around with now, the people I keep close to me, those people ultimately they lift me up. Like for you, with you, for instance, like I've never felt that I had to hide myself. I've never been shy around you, and there's beauty in that because it's gotten me to a point where if we're together, I'm not gonna be shy just because I'm outside now, around strangers. I'm gonna be my wholehearted me because that's ultimately who I'm trying to be is just pure me. And the people like I said, the people I keep around me now, those people are the people who let me be me and let me and don't like kick me down because I'm shining too bright that day or, you know, being too positive. Like there's never
Yeah.
enough positivity and there's never enough like letting your people grow, I think. And the people I keep around, those are the people who want to see me grow, and I try my best to every day keep help them grow too.
Yeah, man, I appreciate that. That really, that's really gonna stick in my heart forever, man, because I really felt like we said earlier, I couldn't love myself, and now I'm getting to a point where I just want to be happy and I want to make other people happy because there's so much hate. And why would you focus on that when there's so much beautiful things?
Mm-hmm.
I even wrote that down in my journal. It's a little worded a little differently, but the fact that you feel that open with me, that you can be who you are, that's what I'm trying to do, man. I just want people to be their true selves and really be open to doing whatever they want, man, because I just want to help people, man. That's all I want to do. There's a reason poets often say poetry saved my life. For often, poetry is the only one listening to the soul suffering, the only one registering the story completely, the only one receiving all softly without condemnation. This is by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And I think this is a good quote to include in this part because when you're writing, like you said, you started out in these dark places and you're really focusing on different things that you're battling through, and sometimes we got to be around the people that we love and care about to kind of get that spark back.
Yep.
So I'm hoping that you come out with these novels. I'm hoping you come out with good poems, and I know you will, because it's gonna be a beautiful thing, and the way that you express yourself a lot of the time, I really care about, and it makes me understand things about myself as well. Hanging out with you, bro, because just like you, man, just like you said, you've always been an uplifting person, and you've always just wanted me to be a better person, and that's why we've always had a good bond. Do you feel like writing one helped you find your purpose, or is the purpose in your life?
I think it's both. Like I said, when I was younger, I got into writing and I fell in love with it. It's something I've done since I was younger. But it's also shown me that, like, no matter what I do, I think, as long as I put my heart into it, I'm going to achieve something great.
Yes, you will.
Like, it doesn't have to relate to writing at all. When I do like little spreadsheets for like football and stuff for sports, I get into it, and that's another form of writing in itself.
Yeah.
But I love sports too, so like I I get into that, and generally not like I'm not an amateur at it. Like I don't think there's been one fantasy football season that I've been bad at. I won my last season,
Yeah.
and that's all because I take the time out of my day to like, you know, do just enjoy life. I think that's the biggest part of it is when you take your life for granted, you're not doing anything but just living. So when you get into it, you start living life for the purpose of yourself. There's really not much you can't do. And writing helped me realize that because like once you put your mind to it, either through pen, paper, or speaking it into yourself, anything is possible. Anything could happen as long as you put your mind and your goals and you're all into it.
I love it. It says artists uses lies to tell the truth. Yes, I created a lie, but because you believed it, you found something true about yourself. Alan Moore. In this situation, we're not, it might be fiction, but I feel like, especially with you and moving forward, it's going to be about your life or about other people's lives that you've witnessed. And just like you said, man, there's always a brighter day. and you really gotta find what makes you have to find what is gonna bring that out of you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that in writing for you is definitely one of those things because dog, you can change somebody's life, and I know you will. I have nothing but high hopes for you. I know that you're gonna be great, bro. I see it already. The vision is there, and it's gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
So, I appreciate you for doing this with me, man. This one, it's the rawest form of being like, hey, man, deep stories, good
Yep,
stories. This is this is what life is all about.
it is, and that's why I get into writing, because a conversation, even though we're not writing, this is part of writing, and you can take anything we say to each other, anything you say to a stranger, anything you say to yourself, and apply it to either yourself or anything. And even if it's fiction, like you were just saying earlier, a lot of what I like to do comes from fiction. Like fiction, even if it's fiction, it can be applied to real life and you can do a lot with it. So, like, I appreciate that you're starting to get into your own like this, because this is another form of expression of creativity. And it resonates with me because this is something I love doing too. I love to talk, I love to get into stuff, and it's just another form of writing for me.
I love it, man. I love all the responses. I love all the stories. What's next for you? What's gonna be the next big move?
I think getting out of this shell that I've built for myself for so long, I started a poetry page. Um, so I'm getting into that, but I kind of want to put all my writing out there, whether it be novels, story writing, anything. Like I truly enjoy putting words into people's minds that can change their lives or even entertain them. Because, I mean, for example, sports broadcasting, it entertaining, and it's something that I thoroughly enjoy. Even writing songs, I listen to so many artists, different artists. I take inspiration from that. And would it be cool to start writing songs? Yeah. I don't see myself doing that, but I mean, there's a bunch of songwriters that you've never heard about that write the biggest songs that you've ever heard.
Yes.
So anything's in the cards, I think, but I want to get my writing out to people, see if I can truly do something like that, because it's something I thoroughly enjoy. So I think the poetry page is the first step to get into what I'm doing. Um, I'm on the not on the ropes. I'm in the process of starting the novels and getting them finished to put them into publishing and stuff like that. Because I think it'd be, even if they're short stories, I think there's something to pick up from them.
Yeah. And that's gonna be very beautiful, and I can't wait, dude. I'm gonna advertise the hell out of it. I'm gonna freaking do whatever we can to get your word out there, man, because you have a very intelligent mind, and just the life experiences that you went through. I know that it's gonna be special, bro. The sky is the limit. Where can they find you, man? What's your page?
My poetry page is called Dauntless Poetry. Um, I think the next step after that, I'm gonna think about my pen name for my actual novels and stuff. But that could all get announced on my poetry page pretty much because it ties into one in one. So I think If you want to hear more, I'm going to start posting a lot more to my poetry page, Dauntless Poetry, like I said. Um, my regular page might contain a little bit here and there, but I think I'm going to start with that, my Dauntless Poetry page, and grow from there.
It's lovely, brother. It is lovely. What about regular socials?
Nicholas Mussenden. Follow me there, obviously. I'm going to be posting a lot more life things, I think, because the past, 2 years, I think, life's been a story. I've done a bunch of things I never thought I could do, got into, and with how life's going, like, I'm eager to show more, because even if it inspires one person to get out their shell and do something, I'm all for it. And that's what I think one of my purposes in life is to inspire people to break down their walls and get out there, because if you've known me from the past, I don't talk to nobody. I'm the most antisocial, shy person you've ever met. But these last 2 years, I've broken down that wall, and I want to show people more of who I am, and also make them realize that just because you're shy or anything, don't mean that nobody's not interested in it.
Yeah.
Everyone has a story, whether it be lame, whether it be boring, but a story is a story, and sometimes it's entertaining.
Yeah.
So my regular social, Nicholas Mussenden, anywhere pretty much. That's basically all my socials you can find me on. I'll be posting more. Dauntless Poetry, that's my poetry page. I'm going to be posting on that, all my poems. Maybe a few songs here and there, but we'll see how that goes, because those are my peace keeps,
Yeah.
I keep those for fun,
Yeah.
and not everyone needs to hear about all those songs,
Yeah.
because some of them are personal. But
No worries.
like I said, the shell's being broken, so 80% of the time I'm gonna post it anyways. I don't really care.
Yes. Lovely, brother. Brother, thank you. Thank you for the kind words. Thank you for sharing some of your work with us. And I'm glad that this barrier is down, bro, because you are very intelligent and you have a very kind heart. And I know that this is going to go places, bro. So thank you for doing this with me. And thank you for sharing some of your stories.
Well, thank you for
I,
having me, brother.
I appreciate you, bro. It's all love. I love you to death, brother.
Love you too, brother.
And I'm glad that we met, because this is a beautiful thing that we have as a friendship, and it's only going to get better from here. So thank you, bro. I appreciate you, and I am really grateful for you sharing everything and taking the time to do this with me.
No problem. It's part of breaking down that shell. I'm trying to get life out there, like you're doing with this podcast, man.
It's all love, brother. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is the Life Looks Like podcast. Let's go.